You spent 7 hours of drawing, and it's finally finished. You post it, and most of the comments are positive, but others are calling you out on the weird hand or the asymmetry in the eyes. What would you do? Commonly, I see people online either get very down about it and stop drawing for a while, or people getting angry and starting fights with others in the comments about their style or that not everything can be perfect and that art is hard. I'm not going to deny that these aren't natural reactions or that you're wrong in feeling that way. It's your work, and you most likely have this raised view of it because you made it. But in reality, you need to take criticism to get better, and the best way to do that is to stop getting attached to your work. Getting attached to your work can lead to many issues, including a refusal to change your work, a refusal to break your style, or a refusal to change your OC designs and stories, which in the end will all add up to make a lack of overall improvement. So firstly, there's the refusal to change your work. When you post a drawing, you think, oh, it's finished, time to never work on it again. But that's not how things work. Authors don't get their first drafts published, actors don't do one take and use that in the final cut, and artists shouldn't be content with this first draft. Of course, if your piece is already lined, colored, and shaded, or painted completely, it's going to be hard to fix a fundamental issue, and I wouldn't expect you to recreate an entire work because the torso anatomy was off, throwing off the entire drawing. But with tiny things that could be changed with a simple highlight or redrawing one part, you should be prepared to change. Just because it's complete doesn't mean it's finished. Complete, as I see it, means that you have all of the necessary parts. For a digital piece that I see commonly, this means that it's lined, colored, and shaded with effects. But this piece isn't finished until it's as close to perfect as your skill level can get, and that's a lot higher than you think. Artists that will improve at a slower rate than others will see a mistake in a piece and not correct it, for many reasons. You think that maybe you'll draw it right next time or that nobody's going to notice. But you won't draw it next time, because you can't draw it right now. The fact that you can't draw it right in this piece shows that. So draw it right now, and you'll draw it right again in the future, since you know how to do it now. And if you think nobody's going to notice, they are. Don't kid yourself. I notice in so many drawings that people just give up. They hide the hands behind the back, or they cut off the drawing at the waist, or something like that. So if somebody tells you to fix something, do it. You're not going to get better at a quick rate if you only work the way you want to. And this advice isn't for people who just want to draw for fun. If drawing hands isn't fun for you, then don't draw them. But if you want to make a career in this or sell your art like I do, you're going to need to take criticism and you're going to need to get better. Secondly, your style. Art style is great, and it's definitely a thing, I'm not going to deny that. But I can differentiate between what my style is and what I just can't draw. In fact, I have friends whose styles I don't like. I have inspirations whose styles I don't like. But I know that their art is good because it's all correct. Having something be incorrect isn't a stylistic choice. In fact, it's not even a choice at all. If someone chooses to make their eyes big or their colors bright, that's a stylistic choice. But when somebody's trying to draw realistically and their eyes are super anime, that's not really a choice most of the time. Anime isn't realism, so if they're trying to draw realistically, that's just a mistake. In fact, when I started realism for class, that's exactly what I did. I was so used to drawing big eyes, I didn't get the correct proportions. And then my teacher told me it was wrong. I didn't say that it was my style, I didn't fight her, because the style that I was going there was realistic, not my personal style. So I erased the eyes, fixed it, handed it in, and got an A on the project. Now when it comes to personal style, I have a few choices that I've consciously made. Big eyes, tiny noses, square torsos, thin lines. But I have a few things that are part of this quote-unquote style that I didn't choose to do. Like always working in these very bright, warm color schemes, or drawing with such a style that doesn't allow much variation in the body type besides height and weight, or just messing around with hands all the time. I guess you could say these are parts of my style, but they're not the ones that I want to have there. I want to fix them. You can say that sloppy line art or black shading or some of these very common mistakes are just your style, but that doesn't stop them from hindering your art and learning how to correctly do things. And if you refuse to try new things because they're not part of your style, you're hindering your work. And I have a challenge for you. Something I've tried, and I know that's helped me at least, and I hope it can help you. Draw in a new style for a month. Not somebody else's style, not your old style, but something new that you make up. Maybe if you want to make it more anime, make it more anime. If you already draw anime, make it more Western. Use thin lines instead of thick, or vice versa. Try for realism if you're a cartoonist, or make cartoons if you've been trying realism. And then after a month, or however long you do this for, come back to your original style. Draw how you used to. And I can't say what you'll have changed, but something will change. You'll be able to change things you didn't like because how you know how to make a style now, or how to alter your style now. You can take parts of that new style you created and patchwork them back into your old one. See how you do. Of course, this whole thing is a bit out there, you know? It's what I've done in the past, but it may not work for everybody, and I can see that. But you should at least try to experiment. Try to make a piece or two in another style. Make charts of artists you like and see what parts of their pieces strike you, then try to recreate them in your own work. At least try to do something. The more the better, but as long as you do something, you're gonna improve. And lastly, if you've tried stuff like this before and found out that it's not your work, maybe it's what you're drawing. Since I have OCs and I draw them often, I'll talk about it in that sense. If you made your OC 5 years ago and have their entire story and built their entire world, you're going to be attached to it. But what you made 5 years ago isn't as good as what you can make now. Your designs are better, your stories are better, your understanding of the world and people, it's better. So don't be afraid to change your OCs or even make new ones. If I didn't change, I'd still be drawing a neon green and blue wolf and a fill bucket orange cat. Or I'd have a story with over 100 characters that don't have reason to be there and a mechanic of the plot that explained so much that is beaten to the ground with so many details. But I was unhappy with those OCs. So once they stopped being fun and I started to see how stupid or bad they were, I moved on. If you're unhappy with your OCs, they're probably bad. So fix them. Rewrite that scene or that character you don't like. Redesign that love interest with boobs that are too big. Maybe even burn it all to the ground and start something new. It's going to be hard to part with creations like this. But if they're holding you back to something you created that's no longer good in your eyes, you're still not going to improve. Sticking yourself to bad creations, refusing to let other people tell you those creations are bad, and then refusing to change anything because of your inability to see your own mistakes, those things will all lead you down one path. The one away from improvement. So you need to stop getting so attached to your work, to your style, to your characters. Because if something is bad, it's going to hinder you. Take criticism, fix your work, make it better. Don't think that you can't create something great, because you can. You just need to practice and improve. Of course, practicing all the wrong things won't help you. You need to practice and work towards getting better. And once you do, you'll be much more content with your work than you were before.